everyone, and welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And my name is Catherine, and today we have an upper intermediate level lesson all about money.
That's right. We are going to be talking about money, but most importantly, we need to start saving money. We need to spend less.
Exactly. So in order to control spending, today we're talking about budgeting. So let's take a look at this very important word in today's vocabulary preview.
Vocabulary preview.
All right. So as you mentioned, budgeting is, what is to budget?
To budget, that's the verb. So budgeting is deciding how to spend your money, okay? So that means that we prepare a plan for how to spend money.
All right, so that can be a noun and a verb. A budget is the plan on how you're going to spend money, and to budget is to execute this plan.
Exactly. So today we're budgeting a family's spending. We're trying to control how much this family will spend in the future.
All right, very good. So why don't we listen to this dialogue for the first time? Welcome, Mr. and Mrs. Carnwell. Please take a seat.
Thank you.
So I understand that your family spending has skyrocketed and you want to start budgeting.
Yes, that's correct. Frankly speaking, our household income is relatively high and we have never had any money problems. But I think this is the main reason as to why our spending has gone out of control.
We have 2 kids, and with allowances, paying their credit cards, ours, and not to mention our mortgage and car payments, with the recent economic downturn, my husband's business has suffered, and now we need some advice as how we can prepare a family budget.
I see. Well, you have come to the right place. First, what we need to do is determine your cash flow. Knowing how much money is coming in will help us allocate spending to different categories such as mortgage, education, groceries, etc.
Yes, that makes sense.
Secondly, I need you to bring all of your receipts for the last 2 to 3 months. That way we can determine what your average expenditures are and see which category you're spending money on the most. Usually, your fixed costs are higher and we can't do much about that. But we can usually trim your variable costs such as entertainment or clothing.
Great! We will do that then. Now how about we treat you to a nice dinner?
That's another thing. If you really want to stop spending so much money, throw away at least half of your credit cards. All right, we're back. So there were some interesting words and phrases in this dialogue related to budgeting and a lot of, financial terms here. So let's get started now on language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
This first term is very important because it tells us what kind of a budget we're talking about. We're not talking about a company here. We're talking about a family.
Right.
And so in this case, we use the phrase household. Okay. So what are we talking about? Household income.
All right. So income, we know, is the amount of money that comes in to maybe your wallet, right? My income, my personal income.
That's how much money you earn.
Okay. So a household income is how much money the house earns. So all the people that are living in this house, right?
That's right. So it could be a family. It could be 2 married people who are married to each other. So the idea is that it's not one person's income. It's the household income. Think of a house.
All right, so it's the combined income of everyone that's living there or that's making money that lives in this house.
Right, so if Marco and I have a household, I earn $10,000 and he earns $10,000. Our household income is $20,000.
Very good. All right. So then now we know that what our household income is. And in this case, we have children and we give our kids an allowance.
Okay, so I had an allowance when I was a kid. This is the amount of money I got from my parents every week. So I get, I think, $10 a week, and I could spend it on anything I wanted. And I didn't have to work because my parents gave the money to me. Okay. And so an allowance is this money. It's the money that mom and dad give to their children, maybe every month or maybe every week.
Now, it's not only related to children, right? Because maybe if you have a brother or maybe you're married and your wife is a housewife, maybe you give her an allowance, right? Or the opposite. Maybe you're a house husband and you get an allowance from your wife.
That's right. You can have an allowance if you're anyone. You can also have an allowance from your company if you go traveling. So if you have a business trip, your company gives you a food allowance. That's the amount of money you can spend on food. And you don't have to work for it. That's the best part.
Awesome. All right. So after these allowances, they were talking about, how the economic downturn has affected their income and their spending.
Okay, so down, you think this is a negative thing. You're right. Downturn means when a situation gets worse, okay, or slows down. And in this case, the economy is what got worse. And you remember this from last year. Things started to get very difficult for people who are in business. And this has affected families. And so we call the situation an economic downturn.
Now, the opposite would maybe be an economic boom.
That's right. A boom is when things are going well. That means people are earning more money. There are more jobs.
All right, very good. And now moving on, as they were talking about budgeting, they mentioned this very important word, very technical, is to allocate money into different areas.
That's right, or allocate spending. This is a verb, to allocate. That means to decide where the money will go. Okay, so as the mother in a family, I will allocate 10% of the money to the children's allowances. That's a lot. 50% to the mortgage, 20% to the car.
Okay.
Car repairs.
So you're allocating your spending.
That's right. I'm deciding where to spend the money.
Okay. And well, talking about spending, we have this word expenditures.
Expenditures. And so this is a really important word if you're in business as well, because we consider expenditures when we're talking about how much a company earns. Expenditures are things that we spend money on. So remember that word expenditures, spend.
Okay, so an expenditure. And this is a noun, and usually it's in the plural, expenditures.
Exactly, expenditures. So we have many expenditures at my house. Among them, we have the car, the rent, healthcare, things like that.
Okay, perfect. So really good phrases there, really good vocabulary items. Why don't we move on now to Fluency Builder?
Fluency Builder.
We've got some very fun phrases today, Marco, in Fluency Builder. This first one is a very common phrase that we hear in songs and movies.
To skyrocket. All right. What is skyrocket?
Well, you think about a rocket, you know, that's a ship that goes to space. To skyrocket means to go up really high, really fast.
Okay.
The price of gas has skyrocketed. So I remember when I was a kid, gas used to be 98 cents a gallon.
Wow, really?
And in the 2000s, the price skyrocketed, and it ended up being like $4 a gallon.
Yeah, it was really expensive. All right, so this is also, you can talk about sales have skyrocketed, or the price of petroleum has skyrocketed.
So it could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on what you're talking about.
All right. And now moving on, they said that their spending was out of control.
Yeah, so this family doesn't seem to understand how to budget. They spend on everything. And so the accountant says that your spending is out of control. That means that you're spending too much. There's no order to the way that you're spending.
And we actually have a previous lesson called Out of Control Spending, that we also touched this topic of what we talk about out of control. Something is out of control. A person can be out of control.
Like a child. This child is out of control. He never stops screaming and hitting people.
All right. And our last phrase for today, the accountant says, well, you've come to the right place.
Okay, this is the accountant bragging. He's saying, well, I can fix your problems. I can help you. You've come to the right place. You can use this in many different ways. For example, I have a problem maybe with my TV, and I say, Marco, oh my gosh, my TV doesn't work. I don't know what to do. Can you help?
Right, and I can say, well, you've come to the right place. I can fix your TV.
Marco's an expert in electronics.
All right, so you've come to the right place. It's a very common phrase, especially as you say when somebody's trying to brag and say, well, I know how to fix your problems, or I know what you need.
I'm good at this. You've come to the right place. If you want to learn English, you've come to the right place.
Exactly.
EnglishPod.com.
All right, so let's listen to our dialogue for the last time. Welcome, Mr. and Mrs. Carnwell. Please take a seat.
Thank you.
So I understand that your family spending has skyrocketed and you want to start budgeting.
Yes, that's correct. Frankly speaking, our household income is relatively high, and we have never had any money problems. But I think this is the main reason as to why our spending has gone out of control.
We have 2 kids, and with allowances, paying their credit cards, ours, and not to mention our mortgage and car payments, with the recent economic downturn, my husband's business has suffered, and now we need some advice as how we can prepare a family budget.
I see. Well, you have come to the right place. First, what we need to do is determine your cash flow. Knowing how much money is coming in will help us allocate spending to different categories such as mortgage, education, groceries, etc.
Yes, that makes sense.
Secondly, I need you to bring all of your receipts for the last 2 to 3 months. That way we can determine what your average expenditures are and see which category you're spending money on the most. Usually, your fixed costs are higher and we can't do much about that. But we can usually trim your variable costs such as entertainment or clothing.
Great! We will do that then. Now how about we treat you to a nice dinner?
That's another thing. If you really want to stop spending so much money, throw away at least half of your credit cards. All right, we're back. So now talking about allowances. You said you had an allowance when you were a kid. Did you really have a $10 a week allowance?
No, I think it was like 8. It started out at $6 or $5 a week, and then I think the most I got was like 10 or 11.
Oh, wow. So it was like almost about $1 a day.
About that, but usually the point was that, well, I started working when I was 15 because my parents thought it was important for children to learn how money works. But I was given that money because at the time, it was enough money to go out one night. So on Friday nights, if I wanted to go out with my friends, I could go out to watch a movie and get a slice of pizza, and $10 was enough.
Okay.
Now, $10 doesn't even buy you a ticket to the movie, but at the time, it was more than enough.
So this is important, I guess, because, different families have different ways of upbringing their children, and in many cases, this doesn't happen, right? If I want to go out to the movies on a Saturday, then my parents will give me $30. And if I want to go out next weekend, they'll also give me money. So it's interesting to see the contrast, because obviously when I was a kid also I didn't really get this opportunity of going out all the time, and actually I had to work for it. So if I wanted to go out on the weekend, I would get an allowance, but also I would have to wash the car. That was typical with my dad. I had to wash the car.
Well, I think it's interesting because it shows that the parents want to teach their children about budgeting. Because if you only have $10, you really have to budget. You have to decide how you will allocate that money, even though it's not very much. So in some ways, it's good practice.
Yeah, it is. I think it's done us well. We're not in debt.
Not yet.
All right. So let us know how allowances work in your country, or maybe did you have an allowance when you were a kid? A lot of people didn't have an allowance. I know a lot of friends didn't get allowances. So come to our website, EnglishPod.com, and if you have any other questions or doubts, please leave them there as well.
We hope to hear from you. Until next time. Bye, everyone.
You know, Elizabeth, sometimes life feels heavy when you owe money. Debt is like a shadow that follows you everywhere. It doesn't matter if it's just a small loan or a big one, the feeling is the same. You feel stuck.
That's so true, 𝗨희𝗻. Being in debt is more than just numbers on paper. It affects your sleep, your confidence, even the way you speak with people. Many learners of English don't know this word deeply, but debt means money you owe and must pay back. And the tricky part is, you don't pronounce the B in debt. You say debt.
Exactly. And here's the thing. Many people feel ashamed to admit, I am in debt. But saying it honestly is the first step. In English, if you want to be clear, you can say, I'm in debt. Or if it's smaller, you can say, I owe some money.
That's a good point, 𝗨희𝗻. And another useful phrase is, I'm broke. This doesn't mean you are broken like a glass. It means you have no money at all. Imagine you look into your wallet and there's nothing inside. That's broke.
Yes, and let me add a common expression. People often say, this situation hit me pretty hard. It doesn't mean someone punched you. It means something had a strong effect on your life. For example, the recession hit me pretty hard. I lost my job and now I'm in debt.
That phrase is so natural in real life, and we can also use on top of all that. It means in addition to everything else. For example, I lost my job, and on top of all that, I have to pay my rent and school fees.
When listeners practice these phrases, they don't just learn words. They learn how to describe their real struggles in English. And that makes speaking powerful, because life is not always easy, but words give us strength.
Yes, words are like keys that can unlock solutions, and listeners don't just learn these phrases, use them. Speak them out loud, write them in your notebook, and even share them with a friend. The more you practice, the stronger your English becomes.
And when you find this helpful, remember to share, subscribe, like, and comment, because every little action supports us and helps other learners find useful English too.
𝗨هم, I think one of the most difficult things about debt is how people feel afraid to talk about it. Many learners don't just need vocabulary, they need confidence to say the truth. For example, instead of hiding, you can say, I'm having financial difficulties. That's a polite way to explain your problem.
Yes, and that phrase is very useful, especially in formal situations like speaking with a bank officer. Another helpful one is, I need to take out a loan. This means you want to borrow money officially from a bank or company. The word loan is important. It's money you borrow that you must pay back later.
Right. And when we talk about big loans, one common one is a mortgage. That's the special loan people take when they buy a house. And here's a tip. It looks like it should be pronounced mortgage, but the T is silent. So we say mortgage.
Oh yes, pronunciation is so important. And another everyday word is credit card debt. Many people use their card, but they forget it's not free money. Later, the bill comes and they realize, I owe too much on my credit card.
Exactly. And this can really affect your mood. Some people say debt is stressful, and that's true. But listeners, don't forget, you can also talk about how you deal with it. For example, you can say, I'm trying to cut back on my spending. That means you are reducing how much money you spend.
That's a great phrase. Cut back on something. You can cut back on coffee, cut back on shopping, or even cut back on eating out. And all of these little actions can help you reduce your debt slowly.
And the good part is, when learners practice these expressions, they don't just learn English. They also learn life skills. And that makes English much more than a subject. It becomes a real tool for survival.
And dear listeners, if this part gave you some value, don't forget to share, subscribe, like, and comment, because together we can make learning English powerful and practical for everyone.
𝗨هم, another important thing about debt is that it teaches us to think carefully before we spend. In English, there are great phrases to describe this. For example, we can say, I need to live within my means. That means you spend only what you can afford, not more.
That's a golden phrase, Elizabeth. And when someone spends more money than they actually have, we often say, he is living beyond his means. It's a polite way to say someone is spending too much.
Yes, and here's another everyday expression, tight budget. If you say, I'm on a tight budget right now, it means you don't have much money to spend and you must be very careful. This is so useful in daily conversations.
Absolutely. Imagine your friend invites you to dinner, but you can't afford an expensive restaurant. You can simply say, sorry, I'm on a tight budget right now. That way, you're honest and polite at the same time.
And sometimes people use humor to talk about money. For example, they say, my wallet is crying. It's not serious, but it shows that you don't have much money at the moment. Expressions like these make English fun and memorable.
That's true. And listeners should remember one more key word, savings. This means the money you keep for the future. A strong phrase is, I'm trying to build my savings. Even if you're in debt, this mindset can help you.
Right. And in English, we often say, every penny counts. It means even small amounts of money are valuable when you are trying to save or pay off debt.
And when you practice saying these expressions, you don't just learn English. You also train yourself to think about money more wisely.
And if you find these phrases useful, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment, because more learners can also benefit and strengthen their English every single day.
You know, Elizabeth, many people don't realize that debt is not always negative. Sometimes it can actually help if we use it carefully. For example, a student loan allows young people to study at university. In English, we can say, I took out a student loan to pay my tuition.
That's a very practical example. And tuition means the money you pay to study at a school or university. It's a word learners will hear often. Another one is car loan. People use it when they borrow money from the bank to buy a car.
Exactly. And here's another phrase learners can practice. Monthly payments. That means you don't pay all the money at once. Instead, you pay a small amount every month until the loan is finished. For example, I make monthly payments on my car loan.
That's very natural English. And when people pay on time, they build what's called credit history. That's a record of how well you borrow and pay back money. If you have good credit history, banks trust you more.
Yes, and the opposite is bad credit history. If you don't pay your bills, it becomes difficult to borrow money later. So being responsible with payments is not just about money. It's about your future opportunities.
And we can use a good expression here, money management. This means the way you organize your money, spending, and savings. Saying, I need to improve my money management is very common and very useful in conversations.
I love that. And one more natural phrase for learners. I'm trying to get out of debt. It's simple, but it shows you have a goal. It's positive, and it gives you hope.
And that's something we want for all our listeners, hope and confidence in both life and English. So if this helped you today, don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and leave a comment with your own phrases about money and debt.
Elizabeth, I think one of the hardest parts of debt is the emotional side. Many people feel embarrassed to say, I owe money. But in English, there are polite ways to talk about it. For example, you can say, I'm facing some financial challenges.
That sounds respectful and clear. Yes, and another useful expression is, I'm going through a tough time financially. It tells the truth, but in a softer way. Learners can use this when they want to explain their situation without feeling ashamed.
That's true. And here's a phrase that often comes up. I need to make ends meet. It means you are trying to earn just enough money to cover your basic needs, like food, rent, and bills. For example, it's hard to make ends meet when prices keep going up.
That's one of my favorite expressions. And when people are very careful with money, we sometimes say, he is counting every penny. It shows that someone is paying attention to every small amount they spend.
Yes, and sometimes people use the phrase, I'm stretched thin. It doesn't mean your body is stretched. It means your money or energy is being used too much and you don't have enough left.
That's such a real expressionalism. And here's another natural one. I need to cut down on expenses. It means you are trying to spend less money. For example, I cut down on eating out to save more for my bills.
Very practical. And listeners, remember, when you learn these phrases, practice them in real conversations. Try saying them to a friend or write them in your diary. The more you use them, the more natural they become.
And if this part gave you motivation and new English to practice, show your support. Like, share, subscribe, and comment below so others can learn together with you.
You know, Elizabeth, when people talk about debt, they often talk only about the problem. But I think it's important to also talk about solutions. In English, one useful phrase is, I'm trying to pay off my debt. That means you are slowly giving money back until the debt is finished.
Yes, and a helpful expression is, I set a budget. A budget is a plan for how you will spend your money. You can say, I set a weekly budget so I don't spend too much. It's a very positive way to take control.
Another strong phrase is, I'm saving little by little. Even small amounts matter. For example, I save a few dollars every week, and little by little, it makes a difference. This teaches patience and discipline.
That's true. And here's one more expression learners should know. Financial goals. You can say, my financial goal is to be debt-free in 2 years. It shows that you are not only dreaming, you are planning.
Exactly. And another natural phrase is, I need to cut back on luxuries. Luxuries are things you want, but don't really need, like designer clothes or expensive coffee every day. When you cut back, you keep more money for important payments.
And there's also the phrase living paycheck to paycheck. That means when you receive your salary, you spend it all quickly, and then you wait for the next one. Many people use this phrase to describe their reality.
That's such a useful one, Elizabeth. And if our listeners practice these expressions, they will not only sound natural in English, but they'll also build smart habits for life.
And if this inspired you, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment below. Tell us what your own financial goals are and practice your English at the same time.
Elizabeth, when I think about debt, I also think about attitude. Some people let debt control them, but others learn from it and grow stronger. In English, there are powerful expressions for this. For example, I'm taking control of my finances. It means you are the driver, not the passenger, in your money journey.
That's such an important mindset. Another phrase is, I'm learning to live more simply. It doesn't mean boring. It means choosing what really matters. For example, I don't buy too many clothes anymore. I live more simply and I feel happier.
Yes, and here's another practical one. I want to build a safety net. A safety net is extra money you keep for emergencies. In daily English, you can say, I have a small safety net in case I lose my job.
That's very natural. And we also hear people say, I'm investing in my future. It doesn't always mean buying stocks. It can mean learning a new skill, taking a course, or saving for education. This phrase shows hope and action.
Exactly. And here's one more I really like. I'm staying positive despite my debt. This shows strength of character. Learners can use it not only for money, but for any difficult situation in life.
And don't forget idioms, 𝗨هم. A popular one is, money doesn't grow on trees. Parents often tell this to children to remind them that money is not easy to get, so they should use it wisely.
Oh yes, that's a classic. And listeners, when you use these phrases, you're not only speaking better English, you're also shaping a better life.
And if this gave you value, support this learning journey, like, share, subscribe, and comment to show how you are taking control of your finances and your English.
Elizabeth, I believe the most important lesson about debt is not just money, it's discipline and hope. In English, we can express this with phrases like, I am building better habits. For example, I write down everything I spend, because I'm building better habits.
That's a really good one. And another useful phrase is, I'm learning from my mistakes. Everyone makes financial mistakes, but this phrase shows growth and maturity. Learners can use it in many life situations, not only with money.
Yes, and I like the phrase step by step. It means slowly but surely. For example, I'm paying off my debt step by step. It's encouraging, and it reminds us that progress doesn't have to be fast to be real.
That's very motivational. And another nice phrase is, I'm turning my life around. It means you are changing from a bad situation to a better one. For example, I was in heavy debt, but now I'm turning my life around.
And there's a positive idiom I love. There's light at the end of the tunnel. It means even though things are dark now, Hope is coming. Learners can use this phrase in many situations when they want to sound encouraging.
That's beautiful. And I also think about this phrase, I'm preparing for a brighter future. It's simple, but it gives energy and motivation.
Yes, Elizabeth. And listeners, when you use these phrases in your English, you're not just practicing language. You're practicing hope. You're telling the world that you are strong, that you are moving forward.
And if today's conversation gave you strength and useful English, show your love. Like, subscribe, share, and comment. Tell us how you are preparing for your brighter future and inspire other learners too.
The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
Rise rapidly, as in price. Skyrocket. Beyond the ability to direct the actions of something. Out of control. Plan the way to spend money in order to save more. Budget. Assign. Allocate. To be honest. To say it directly. Frankly speaking.
Let's try that faster.
Assign. Allocate. Beyond the ability to direct the actions of something. Out of control. To be honest. To say it directly. Frankly speaking. Plan the way to spend money in order to save more. Budget. Rise rapidly, as in price. Skyrocket.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Skyrocket. The ratings for this TV show have skyrocketed in the past month. Skyrocket. Her popularity skyrocketed after she won the competition. Skyrocket. The company's profits skyrocketed with their new advertising campaign. Out of control. I really need to learn how to budget because my spending is out of control. Out of control. Her anger was out of control when she learned that they had killed him. Out of control. His driving was out of control. Budget. My roommates and I really need to start budgeting the money we spend on food. Budget. Her family has started to budget the money they spend on shopping. Budget. He needs to start budgeting his time better. Allocate. The teacher allocated tasks to different students. Allocate. I need to allocate my study time between my different courses. Allocate. He allocated the prize money to different charities. Frankly speaking. Frankly speaking, you should break up with him. Frankly speaking. Frankly speaking, the government is just trying to get away with raising taxes again. Frankly speaking. To be frank, I don't think this is a good decision.